For the 4th of July, Gas Buddies Patrick DeHaan says you'll feel better when you fill your car's tank because this year gas is cheaper.
The average price likely to be just $2.21 a gallon. That's even lower than last year when prices averaged $2.27.
I'm Dave Barrett, CBS News.
Finding great candidates to hire can be, well, like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is different. It doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them. With its powerful technology, ZipRecruiter distributes your job everywhere it needs to be to find the right candidates. In fact, over 80% of jobs on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just one day. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, only ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
Used by businesses of all sizes, ZipRecruiter offers the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/talk. That's ZipRecruiter.com/talk for your free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/talk.
Good afternoon, everyone. You're listening to AM 1080 KSCO Santa Cruz, AM 1340 KOMY La Selva Beach, Watsonville. It's Tuesday, June 27th, 2017. I'm Dave Michaels with your traffic and weather. It's 2:06, by the way. That's the time. Highway 1 southbound here in Santa Cruz is slow-moving as you approach Soquel Drive. I would estimate about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Speeds at 41st Avenue pretty close to the limit, so that's a relatively brief slowdown. Your trip into Watsonville is under the limit, but not by much. Things are looking pretty good out there on Highway 1. Highway 17, the same. 101 looking good as well. Highway 68, 183, 156, 129, 152, all looking good. Your weather forecast for this afternoon, sunny conditions expected. Highs should be around 71 degrees. Tonight, patchy drizzle and fog, increasing clouds as well. Lows will be around 53 degrees. Tomorrow, pretty much like today, highs will top out around 70 degrees. Small craft advisory out on the Monterey Bay tonight. West winds as well, 15 to 25 knots, decreasing to 5 to 15 knots by midnight. Wind waves 3 to 4 feet, becoming 2 feet or less. And southwest swells 3 feet at 13 seconds. Patchy fog expected after midnight. 71 degrees outside KSCO studios. Be sure to stop by, pick up your Healthy Start Packs BTT or Glucogel while we still have them. 2300 Portola Drive is where we're at. The time is now 2:07. Up next, it's hour 1 of the Dr. Future Show.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. Ladies and gentlemen, KSCO presents the Dr. Future Show. If you would like to join in our show today, you can call us at 831-479-1080. That's 831-479-1080. And now, your host, Dr. Future.
Happy Future Tuesday, everyone. Beautiful day here in Santa Cruz. Like 80 degrees out there today. Whew. Nice. Nice. Hi, Mrs. Future.
Hi.
We got some stories for you today and a really great guest coming in the second hour. We're bringing in Payson McNett, who started the Fab Lab, the fabulous Fab Lab, now at Cabrillo College, a state-of-the-art lab equipped with technology that allows students to learn all the latest and greatest stuff you need to know for 3D printing and scanning and laser cutting and engraving and vinyl cutting and CNC routers and all that kind of stuff.
Making more stuff.
Making stuff, right.
Cool tools.
The make religion, if you will.
That's right. Well, it used to be the auto shop, wood shop type crowd. Now it's the makers.
Well, yeah, you want to make robots. It's like, we lost our
rockets.
We lost our cleaning lady. We lost our cleaning lady this week because
we didn't lose her. She's just got a.
Yeah,
she upgraded herself. She's no longer available for our simple needs.
I was floating by Mrs. Fuji the idea that we start building a robot to do the things that usually are cleaning.
Oh, there you go. Right.
And for the same budget.
Right. right. Can't we divert some resources to my robot research?
But you tell me about, needing to clean the toilets. I don't know if robots could do a good job on that.
Yeah, I gave you a long list of the vital things that our helper
Well,
does.
we'll see. We'll see what we can figure out here.
I'll be really impressed if you can invent a robot, because I've often suspected that one of the reasons that robots are so dumb is because mostly they're being designed by men, and the things that men prioritize, you can't prioritize something you can't see. And in my experience, most men can't see the trash that needs to be taken out. I see. And they also can't they can't understand why we need to let's see, what are the other things? Why we need to sweep the floor or
clean out the fridge.
They tend to like vacuuming, but probably because there's this sort of a robot involved.
Well, the robots can do vacuuming. I mean, at least we can do that.
Right. But we already have a robot that does vacuuming.
That's
true.
Oh.
What we need is the rest of the stuff.
All right. I'll work on it, Mrs. Future. Meanwhile, out in the big bad world out there, computer systems from Russia to the U.S. were struck on Tuesday in an international cyber attack that was somewhat similar to one that crippled tens of thousands of machines worldwide just a couple months ago.
Oh, yes. It's the ransomware attack.
Yeah,
right?
It is a ransomware thing where people get asked for a ransom to get their data back, and they have to pay in Bitcoin.
Right. So then maybe this is really just the Bitcoin has become sentient, and it wants everyone to know that it's out there, and it wants everyone to get themselves some Bitcoin.
Or at least figure out how to pay people in Bitcoin.
Right. So it turns out that the first AI that has gone sentient is just a thug. A classic thug who wants to shake people down.
Now, if you're just tuning in, this is complete hypothesis on Mrs. Future's part.
You're saying it's not an AI?
I don't think it's an AI. No, I think it's some what do they say? Bad honchos.
Bad hombres.
Bad hombres that are doing that. The initial reports came from Russia, so
So who's mostly being attacked now is Russia, right? I mean, all of the victims are
Ukrainians,
in Russia.
The Ukrainians, several of their ministries, the Chernobyl nuclear facility, banks there in Ukraine, metro system, the companies affected, including the Danish giant Maersk, Rosneft, the Russian energy giant, Saint-Gobain, the French construction materials company, and in the English world, WPP, the British advertising agency.
You think this is a publicity stunt?
No, I don't think so. In the United States, Merck, the drug giant, confirmed that their global networks have been hit, and a multinational law firm, DLA Piper. But it's not clear who's behind this attack. Like the attacks last May, the WannaCry attacks. The WannaCry.
Want to cry.
The hack today takes over computers and demands a digital ransom, which you pay in Bitcoin.
I'm guessing, based on who the victims are, that this is kind of like payback from the last round of ransomware where, people were trying to pin it on the Russians. So now somebody's decided to stick it to the Russians. And, maybe what we've got here is finally, I know. You know how
theory number 3 about to hit us here.
I think
theory number 2 is canceled.
It's been extremely obvious that Hillary Clinton has disappeared from the public view. We don't know where she is.
Yes,
I
Gracie.
think that maybe she's been at hacker school and she has unleashed her first hacker attack.
Oh, you think she went back to school and learned how to do this?
Well, you gotta do something when you're not president.
All right. Well, would she call the virus Petya? Because that's what the computer experts are calling it.
Oh,
Petya. Petya.
So this virus wants to pet you.
Yeah. 9 Euro companies have been attacked. Symantec, the computer security company, said the new attack was using the same hacking tool, now get this, created by the National Security Agency as the WannaCry attack. So is NSA tools being used against companies.
Right. And is it possible that these NSA tools are the ones that were revealed by WikiLeaks? I mean, they're just open source now, right?
Well, let's just look at the issue at hand. The tools are called Eternal Blue. The tools were among the dozens leaked last April, probably at WikiLeaks, by a group known as Shadow Brokers. And the NSA has not acknowledged that its tools are being used, but experts
can neither
say...
confirm nor deny that we invented these hacker tools, but we do know how to make you want to cry.
Yeah. The vulnerability for Eternal Blue was patched by Microsoft last April, so that was kind of nullified. But what it turns out that hundreds of thousands of organizations have failed to properly install the patch. So these companies that are paying...
What are people waiting for?
Well, it shows you that people just don't upgrade or update their operating system.
Yeah, people are afraid that if they upgrade, they'll lose all of those hard-won tools that they have mastered, and that they'll be stuck back trying to learn something new again.
Yeah, well, I would update this thing. I think this is more serious damage than any fear you might have. So anyway, just update your machines and you should be okay. All right, but this is a serious issue, and it's still going on right now, and it'll probably get a little worse. So that's the latest in the wanna-cry computer virus world.
All right, Dr. Future and I will be right back after this little sponsor break.
Okay, well, let's get to Petya.
Yeah, let's get to Petya like that.
The following is a KSCO editorial. Here is KSCO station owner Michael Zwirling.
Longtime Santa Cruz neurosurgeon James Kohut has been charged with multiple counts of felony child molestation, and if convicted, will face a prison sentence on the order of 165 years. These alleged crimes have been going on for many years, apparently without anyone speaking up to expose and put a stop to them until recently. What is as disturbing as the alleged child rape crimes themselves is the prospect that Kohut may well be released on bail as early as this week. KSCO believes this would be a grave mistake and strongly urges Judge John Salazar and or any other Santa Cruz County Superior Court judge not to set bail and not to allow Kohut to be released from jail prior to his trial. We believe if Kohut is released, there is a strong likelihood he will leave the country and never stand trial for these alleged horrendous crimes. We also believe that this man poses an obvious danger to the public and should not be given the chance to continue to hurt others. The Santa Cruz County District Attorney's Office has argued against bail for and release of Kohut, thus far without success, as Kohut is scheduled to have his bail set this Wednesday, June 28th. If you or someone you know have a story about Kohut that could convince the judge that the release of Kohut would indeed create a danger to the public, KSCO asks that such stories be emailed without delay to mz@ksco.com. That's mz@ksco.com. Time is of the essence.
It must be, it has to be, with that big sound it's gotta be KSCO.
So before we're back totally for Dr. Future, I just had Dave Michaels come in here and give me a breaking news report for all you folks out there who want to know about the traffic situation. You should know that northbound 101 at Beta Bell is totally stopped. There is a vehicle rollover, no injuries, but if you have any options to avoid the northbound 101 at Beta Bell Freeway.
Beta Bell?
Beta Bell. Beta Bell. That's what it says. Then.
Bella Bell.
Now you know. Okay, vehicle in the middle of the road. We had one of those on our way traveling south on Highway 9 over the weekend.
Saturday.
Yeah. So, I don't know what's going on.
And somebody else we knew had an accident this morning.
Overturned? Yeah. Crazy. High stress day.
So drive carefully out there.
Be on guard.
Extra
folks.
careful.
Extra careful today. Okay. So.
In other news, SpaceX completed a launch and landing double bill this weekend. They completed back-to-back launches. The Falcon 9, two Falcon 9 vehicles went up into Earth orbit Friday. The one from Florida, launching a Bulgarian satellite. And the Bulgarians now have better television and internet. And on Sunday, SpaceX lofted 10 spacecraft for the telecommunications company Iridium, flying out of Vandenberg and down in Southern California.
And we stood on top of Future Peak and looked out at the
see it,
sky,
yeah.
and we saw the
Yeah.
smoky trail of the launch in real time.
Yes. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
That was.
We could
Of
actually
course, we
see
could
it
see it much
from here.
better on the webcast, the live stream that we were watching on our iPad.
At the same time.
Right.
It's not an either-or thing. You bring your little phone outside
Yeah.
and
I
watch.
felt very, very much like a citizen of the future, where we were catching the live webcast with our technology, and we were looking at the horizon for the real thing. It was so cool.
It was there. See, not fake news.
Not fake news. Can see it with our own eyeballs.
So that means SpaceX now has 13 landing successes for those missions that sought to recover the booster, where the booster lands on the drone ship.
Mm-hmm.
And this was particularly challenging this weekend because Friday's landing was hard. It looked a little bent over on the live video feed. And the rocket was extra toasty, and it hit the deck really hard. But otherwise, it was good.
Oh, that's not the one we saw.
No, that was the one Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And the one we saw yesterday was foggy. It was foggy down in Vandenberg.
But the one we saw had new fins.
Yes,
the
titanium.
new titanium fins on the booster rocket.
Right, and those worked really well.
Mm-hmm.
They replaced the aluminum fins because they were melting when they were coming back into the atmosphere. So the titanium's a little heavier, but they don't melt. So we got that. And the Bulgarian launch for this Bulgaria Sat-1 was a second-hand Falcon. And it's the second time that it flew.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a good test of the recycling of the spacecraft, saving millions and millions of dollars.
That's great.
So as I mentioned before, last week, SpaceX is doing launches for less than $100 million each, which compares to the $400 million cost previously from the United Launch Alliance, from the big boys.
Mm-hmm. And that was their best price. They had
Lockheed,
some launches
Boeing,
that were way more expensive than that.
Yeah, so it's like 1/3, 1/4 the cost.
Mm-hmm.
So they're getting lots of business, and to pay for all that money they're going to need for getting to Mars.
Yes.
Setting up the Martian colony.
Right. Well, I think they're getting ready for Mars by learning how to terraform Earth. All these other projects, the Hyperloop project and the car elevator project, and
oh, by the way, this second mission on a brand new Falcon that occurred on the West Coast. Well, Iridium is one of the first global phone networks. When you have the satellite phone,
I remember those Iridium
the big
phones.
handle
They
used
were
to come out.
hunky things, bricky.
Yeah, and they didn't work too well indoors. I got to go outside and make a phone call.
Right. And yet they were the only kind of mobile phone. They were the first thing that wasn't attached to a phone cord.
Yeah. Yeah. And they had gone bankrupt at one point. And then, anyway, they're back in business now, and they're replacing their satellite network. And this was another 10 going up to add to their existing network of 60 satellites that are now up there. Most of them past their design life, so they're upgrading their systems rather. To be able to launch 10 at once is quite a boost.
And it was such a success because you watched the Falcon 9 launch, and they were at the parking orbit, which is what they call the orbit where the satellites get left in space.
Mm-hmm.
The parking orbit was about a half hour into the flight, and you could watch the satellites just be left behind, and that's it. Now they're just going to permanently orbit the Earth until we get them down again.
The new Iridium satellites also host payloads for 2 tracking companies. One is a company called Arion, which aims to offer a service that reports the positions of aircraft sensing their automatic dependent surveillance broadcast transmissions, their ADS-B transmissions.
I don't understand what you just said.
Well, this is a system that's useful in following planes that are beyond radar range, from satellite. So if they're outside, like if they're over the Atlantic or the Pacific or the Antarctic.
So like all those missing planes in the
Canada.
Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, they're outside of
they
radar
disappear
range.
in the middle of Canada? Really?
Well, no. Well, in the remote parts of Canada, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, they're beyond us, but beyond radar range can now be picked up by these satellites. So that's good. That'll also help airplanes plan more efficient routing and help us when airplanes disappear mysteriously. Not that ever happens, but, when it might go over the Indian Ocean or something.
It has been known to happen not too long ago.
The other hosted payload for the Sunday launch was for Exact Earth. Exact Earth does something very similar with ships. Large vessels transmit what they call an AIS message. That's an automatic identification system message. And this can now be sensed from orbit, so you know where the ships are. And as the ships become more and more automated, you'll see more and more like robot ships that'll be tracked by satellite.
Somehow the movie WALL-E comes to mind.
Does it now?
We're going to have this automated machine planet delivering stuff all over the place with satellites tracking automated delivery vessels. And, the people are going to, instead of being able to, push the sign at the stop block and get preference, they're just going to have to get out of the way.
They will. I mean, people won't have to be driving. And not that many are anyway.
No, they're going to have to, they'll be like Maud Dib in Dune, and they'll have to, use their hooks to grab the vehicles going by and, mount the automated worms as they wiggle around the planet.
No. They will stop for you. They will.
They will?
They will come to you like...
They will sense that I'm a human being.
Like a taxi, like an Uber, like a Lyft. They'll come... Well, the ones that are supposed to stop for you will. The other ones will just do their thing. Are we going
to program them to serve humans, or are we only going to serve machines?
No. No, that is baseless fear, Mrs. Future.
It's not
baseless fear.
It's not fear. I'm just thinking about all those...
What could go wrong? You're sounding like a Hollywood director now.
That's right. But the good news is all of the emergencies that we can anticipate and prepare for, those are the ones that don't happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you want to be prepared.
Want to be prepared.
All right. Well, along these lines, I might as well add this in just to increase your wariness of all this. Amazon has applied for a patent that gives more insight into how they plan to do drone delivery. They have a new infrastructure, a new building structure that looks amazingly like a beehive that's specifically designed for drones taking off and landing.
Makes a lot of sense. The drones have to live somewhere between flights.
Yes, they do. And they have to recharge, and they have to pick up their new packages, and they have to take off and deliver them and come home, right? And so they would take off, land, pick up deliveries in a tower that is placed in densely populated areas that would house the drones, looking a lot like a beehive. It's kind of cool structure.
Interesting.
So like fulfillment centers are typically these large volume, single floor warehouse buildings to temporarily store items before they ship to customers. So because of their large footprint, these buildings are on the outskirts of cities and are not convenient for deliveries in the cities. So with the drones, they can have these little towers in the middle of the cities and bring a lot of the packages effortlessly into these
What they remind me of, these little drone hives, remind me of carrier pigeon roosts, the kinds that used to be used in the past when carrier pigeons were the best way to send a message far away.
That's before my time, but I think I know what you mean. Carrier pigeon. Special delivery.
Right, special delivery, but the payload could only be a scroll of paper around the pigeon's foot.
Yeah, it was I think the royals used it a lot in Europe.
Right.
That
the
was
mystery schools.
Probably the military in those days. But the average population, probably not so much.
Probably not so much.
Yeah. And this is for all of us.
Well, here it comes, the automated future. How about we take a little break for some sponsor messages and some CBS News, and then come back for more.
Okay.
Of the
By the way, it's going to the point where you have flying warehouses, but anyway, that's a little further out. So let's take a break, and we'll see you after the break.
From the Dr. Future Show. We have had Etheric Networks for 10 years, and it has always been really a stellar service. There's always a real person there if you have any need to call them. They fix things as quickly as possible. Our service has hardly ever been down, and the service is just great. We live kind of in the middle of nowhere, and there are no other mainstream bandwidth providers where we are, and Etheric is a great service. We're really lucky we have it. Thank you, Etheric Networks.
KSCO Residential Special. Residential service up to 10 megabits per second. Symmetric. That's up and down for $85 a month and $199 installation. With guaranteed minimum speeds and uptime, unlike our competitors. Etheric Networks. Call 650-399-4200. That's 650-399-4200. Etheric.net. That's ETHERIC.net.
Hello, folks. Charlie Friedman here at Ella's at the airport. Ella, how do you get people to travel to the Watsonville airport just to enjoy the food?
Service, we really feel like, is paramount for any good restaurant. You know, you can have great food, but if you don't have great service to go with it, then sometimes the bill is not fulfilled. And we feel that service is just as important, and so we really pride ourselves in being attentive, taking care of our customers as if we would be our parents. And of course, our ambiance is exceptional. I think, personally, I am a little biased, but I think our ambiance is gorgeous. We have those rolling hills that are so green right now, airplanes cresting over the hill and landing right in front of our restaurant. Of course, we have transformed that restaurant, which has been there for well over 30 years, I think, into a wonderfully comfortable dining experience. It's really a comfortable elegance is what we like to call it.
Ella's at the Watsonville airport.
CBS News Update. With at least 9 Republicans saying they can't support the current health reform bill, Senate GOP leaders have decided to delay this week's planned vote. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
It's an ongoing discussion, and members several of them want more time. We have a number of different discussions going on that have been going on for 6 weeks now, and they continue.
President Trump, who's vowed to repeal the Affordable Care Act, called all Republican senators to the White House for a strategy session.
So we're going to talk, and we're going to see what we can do. We're getting very close. But for the country, we have to have health care. And it can't be Obamacare, which is melting down.
Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer said the bill is fundamentally flawed.
We're talking about average American working people. They're talking about multi-billionaires. That's why they're in such trouble.
CBS News Update, I'm Pam Coulter.
The Santa Cruz Art of Guitar exhibit and festival begins June 2nd with events scheduled through July 15th, celebrating the unique creativity of the many world-renowned guitar makers and players who make Santa Cruz County their home. For more information on the exhibits, concerts, and open studios, go to the website santacruzluthiers.org or call Maggie at 1-800-262-8858. If you've had it up to here with bickering from the left and right, then tune in to the Costa Report, the new voice of the radical center of the country. Every week, host Rebecca Costa asks world experts to tell us how to fix the toughest problems we now face, from an intractable recession to failing education and climate change. The Costa Report doesn't care whether a good idea comes from the left or right, so long as it works. So don't miss Rebecca Costa every Thursday at 2 p.m. right here on KSCO. The Costa Report, a program for the rest of us.
Okay, welcome back to the Dr. Future Show. Also in the news this week, there are different strategies emerging in the driverless car scene. Alphabet's Google is now dealing with Avis to have Avis manage some of their self-driving test cars developed by the Alphabet Waymo unit. And Fiat Chrysler is also involved with them as well, developing some programs. They are mostly testing right now for the Google technology in the Phoenix, Arizona area, but it isn't exclusively there. Also of interest in that arena is Apple's deal with Avis. So Alphabet Google is dealing with
Hertz.
Hertz. That's right.
Sure.
That's right. Apple's deal with
Alphabet Hertz.
the Avis rival. Hertz is what I meant to say. That hurts. Apple has been testing half a dozen self-driving cars around the Bay Area, and they're just leasing a number of Lexus SUVs from Hertz with the idea of retrofitting them with driving test systems. That's the Lexus RX 450h, if you see any of those on the road.
Stay out of the way. Stay
Check
out
to
of the
see
lane.
if there's a driver.
That's right.
But this is the third player in this, of course, is Tesla, which is trying to pull off independent of any of them, of Hertz, Avis, Apple, Google. They're doing their own thing. That's the Tesla group.
Leading the pack so far.
So far, yeah. Yeah, because you'll be able to get a Tesla. It's pretty much getting all that automation right away. So.
And they can auto-update your firmware with a press of a button.
Yeah. Also, in the transport business, there was a very interesting group out of Colorado that have developed a new type of aircraft. It's a supersonic airplane that was shown off at the Paris Air Show just I think 2 weeks ago, and this new plane promises to be the future for supersonic passenger jets. Mm-hmm. It's a company called Boom. It's the XB-1 supersonic demonstrator jet. They have a working prototype to prove its tech before. They're working on the prototype.
Boy, I sure would not want to be under the flight path for that airplane.
Yeah. It was revealed at the Paris Air Show, and they already have 76 orders for it already across 5 airlines. Mm. So it's already starting to come. It's like the SpaceX of the aircraft.
Right. Well, it's taking the place of the Concorde, right?
The Concorde's been gone for a long time.
That's right. But it was the fast jet. It was the fastest way to cover the planet.
Yeah, and this one gets you to Europe in 2.5 hours from Colorado. Mm-hmm. So it's the new design includes refinements that will have better stability, better propulsion system, better safety. They're looking at carrying about 50 passengers initially. About $5,000 a piece to go for that.
Yeah, I think what they should do is they should have an ejection chute so that they can drop a whole bunch of headphones so that people can cover their ears. Like everybody under the flight path as they break the sound barrier.
Well, they're aiming to fly the demonstrator next year. First with subsonic tests near their headquarters in Denver. Then with supersonic flights, and for doing that, they're going to go to Edwards Air Force Base in Southern California.
Oh, boy. So they might actually fly over us. We might get another one of those mysterious
sonic booms.
Sonic booms.
Get all those reports on the radio. Yeah, that was fun, huh? So it's a new design. It's supposed to make the sonic booms kindler and gentler.
Yeah, I wonder if they have come up with any cancellation technology for the sonic boom so that they can make it quieter.
Oh, well, they're working on it. Let's put it that way. They're definitely working on the shape. And the advantages today is that we do have very fancy simulators in the computer that can try different wing shapes and engine thrusts and look at the outcome without actually having to build them.
Yeah, that's one of the unique things about this jet is its design. It has a kind of a curved beak. Right? It's looking down.
Yeah, it looks like a supersonic. It's long. The thing is, with a supersonic, you have to be long and skinny. And that works really well.
Right.
So it's like one of those long, skinny aircraft.
Sure. Like in...
Swept wings. Mm-hmm. So that's coming out now. And that's coming from the private sector. It's not a government plane.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah, called Boom.
Okay.
Boom XB-1.
You want to get there fast? Boom!
Exactly. You want to get to China?
Boom!
You want to pay for it? Well, China becomes the first country in the world to test a national cryptocurrency.
Ooh, that's been in the... we've been seeing the ink drying on that little project. So tell me the news.
Well, China's central bank has developed its own cryptocurrency, which is now being tested.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the cryptocurrencies could affect not just China, but the rest of the world. So people are paying attention to this.
Well, it was no accident that there was a news article today from Goldman Sachs.
Right, which we have
touting
listed.
Their cryptocurrency.
Yes.
So probably that has to do with China embracing it.
Goldman Sachs was not promoting their own cryptocurrency. They were just doing a description of what cryptocurrency is and understanding the blockchain for everyone to get more of a handle in their minds about what this is all about. How does a cryptocurrency work? So Goldman Sachs put together like a educational piece on it. We have a link to this on our links page. You go to drfutureshow.com/links, and you will be there, and you can see what Goldman Sachs wants you to understand
about cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
And trusting them with your safety.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. The prototype cryptocurrency from China, let's see, it's going to be introduced alongside their primary currency, which is called the yuan, Y-U-A-N. Yuan, or
yeah, it's not the yuan. It's called the yuan. Like you want some.
Yeah.
Yuan.
And they'll be simulating scenarios and running mock transactions with some of the commercial banks in China with the new currency.
I see.
And now, this could be significant for them. It would decrease the cost of transactions and make financial services more accessible, which would be a big help to millions of people in the country who are not connected yet to conventional banks, which is the case in China. There's still a large population that isn't part of the modern banking system.
Yeah, classically, the stories tell us that Asians like to hide their currency in their mattress because they don't trust the government or they don't trust the institutions because, you know, why would anybody not trust the banks and the government? I don't know.
Well, yeah, well, that's a big topic, Mrs. Future.
Mm-hmm.
But meanwhile, they're testing out this new currency, and I guess what they want you to do is use their cryptocurrency ultimately, just like
sure. Yeah, there's going to be a cryptocurrency war. It'll be like, who is going to win the war here?
What currency will you trust?
That's right. Which currency is going to be useful and which one is just going to become ashes?
Yeah. Right now, a single Bitcoin is worth about $2,500.
Wow.
When it first came out in 2009, it was worth 0.0007 cents.
I think it was about $750 last November.
Excuse me, $7, which is 7/10 of a penny.
7/10 of a penny was about, what, 7 or 8 years ago?
Yeah.
And just 7 or 8 months ago, it was $750. So there
now
is
it's $2,500.
I guess that WannaCry virus has really helped Bitcoin a lot.
Yeah, it seems to be. Right? And China's trying to simulate a self-developed cryptocurrency of its kind. Russia has stated that regulators of all countries agree that it's time to develop national cryptocurrency. So Russia's central bank is getting into it as well. There are now 260,000 stores in Japan that will begin accepting Bitcoin as legal tender this summer. And big banks like Santander, which I've never heard of, Santander, have announced plans to develop their own cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm.
So revolutionizing the business world, methods of transaction, its traceability, its use in administering universal basic incomes, delivery of human aid overseas. We did a story last week on how cryptocurrency was used for paying for human aid going to Syria. So we're seeing a lot going on with cryptocurrency at this point in time.
I'd say thinking about how does cryptocurrency differ from cash in your pocket is kind of like if you can understand that your phone holds your access to the internet, well, you don't have to go to the internet to use your phone to keep a stash of currency on your phone. Mm-hmm. So you can keep a stash of currency on your phone, and then that wallet allows you to do transactions through your phone. And that's basically what most people are going to know or need to know about cryptocurrencies.
They just use your phone. Well, what's the difference between that and, say, using Apple Pay?
Well, to the people who are programming it, there's a world of difference, because it has to do with how does your phone talk to the other people who use money for their medium of exchange. But for the individual who's doing a transaction, you just need to know that you have money and you can spend money, and that the person you want to buy something from will take it. And cryptocurrency is solving all those problems for you in a way that you don't have to know more than where your phone is and how to access your account.
What's your guess on how we'll initially see it? Will it be like another choice along with PayPal on how to pay a bill? Cryptocurrency, PayPal,
Yeah, probably
Visa,
it'll show up
MasterCard,
like that for
Discover.
the average person. A lot of people who are using it now
Sorry, we
have
won't take Discover.
created their own exchanges.
Yeah.
You know, so there are cryptocurrency exchanges where you literally buy the coins with other things, and you can buy them with some hard currencies like euros or dollars or other forms depending on where they are. Or you can get them given to you. Like there's a lot of cryptocurrency promotions going on where the companies that are mining the cryptocurrencies are giving people incentives to buy things with cryptocurrencies, and they're rewarding them for buying other things like education packages by giving them cryptocurrencies that they can spend. So there's a big marketing effort to get people to buy and sell things with cryptocurrencies.
Yes. So when do you think we'll see it all happen? And when do you
It's
think
happening now. I mean, you
can't
saw it.
still-
It's in the headlines today, and
Yeah.
I'd say in 5 years, the entire e-commerce is going to be dominated by cryptocurrencies everywhere.
Okay. All right. Good,
All right, we
good
got to go to our break, right?
Mhm.
And this is the Dr. Future Show. We'll be back with more. Stay tuned.
Hey everybody, Dave Michaels here to let you know that Kevin Hurley and I will be taking our longevity meetings on the road this summer. Our first location will be in Monterey, July 10th, 7:15 p.m. at 300 David Avenue. For more information and to reserve your tickets, call 1-800-910-1196. That's 1-800-910-1196. It's a toll-free number, won't cost you a dime. That's 1-800-910-1196. You can also email dm@ksco.com. Either way will work. Contact us, let us know how many seats you would like, and we'll get back to you with confirmation. Again, our first road meeting this summer will be in Monterey, 300 David Avenue. Nearest major cross street is Lighthouse Avenue. You can't miss it. Super easy to find. We would love to see you there. We are taking the longevity meetings on the road this summer, possibly to your town. If you or someone you know would like to host a meeting, just let us know. 1-800-910-1196 or dm@ksco.com. Everyone is invited, but be sure to reserve your seats.
Coast Paper and Supply, a proud member of Think Local First, is positively impacting our environment. They're providing green businesses with eco-friendly cleaners, food service products, and other biodegradable items. Coast Paper and Supply is located at 151 Josephine Street in Santa Cruz and is open weekdays 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. You can give them a call at 831-423-3350. That's 831-423-3350. Or visit coastpapersupplyinc.com.
Guess who's back on KSCO with his own show? Remember Wes, the gun guy? Well, Wes is now talking about stocks. No, I didn't make that up. You couldn't make that up. Really, his show's called My 2 Cents. He and a bunch of his friends are going to sit around like they're playing poker, and they're going to talk about stocks. Now, before you invest any money in anything Wes and his buddies talk about, do your due diligence. He might know what he's talking about, then again, maybe not. Sunday, 6 p.m., right here on KSCO.
Welcome back to the Dr. Future Show. Now, this might be kind of fun to see. Not everything goes as planned.
I'd say,
Would you say?
in my case, almost nothing goes as planned. I've
Almost
given up
nothing.
on planning.
Okay.
I'm more into reacting.
Yeah, what they say, planning is God's way of laughing at you.
Yeah, I've given God a lot of laughs.
Well, the Museum of Failures is here to help with that kind of thinking. It opened this month in Sweden, in Helsingborg, Sweden, and it features displays of our biggest flops.
Great.
And don't worry if you don't speak Spanish.
Finally,
it's mostly in English.
You don't have to be great to be in a Hall of Honor. You can be really lousy.
And it's the brainchild of a Dr. Samuel West, who was drawn to how and why failed ventures happen. And he began collecting examples of ill-fated innovations. And 6 of these products were shown at a London conference recently, and it's it received rave reviews. So it prompted the promotion of a permanent museum of failure in Sweden.
Well, do you have some of those items in mind?
I do. One was the Newton, Apple's forerunner to the iPhone.
Much beloved, and yet it could not compete against the iPhone, which came later.
Right. One was the New Coke.
New Coke.
Right. That was a failure.
I can't say I remember it.
New Coke is forgotten. Coke 2. Coke 2.0, forget it. So what is understood now is that many failed items are precursors to huge successes. And they cite the Newton as an example of that.
And probably New Coke was the precursor to Classic Coke. Let's go back to where we started.
Well, it kind of didn't work in that arena. But more works with technology. Like Google Glass, where it will probably come back as something more interesting than its previous incarnation.
You're hoping. I know you're hoping.
Yeah.
Since you're such a glass head.
Well, it only makes sense on so many levels. Sony Betamax was another failure, considered failure.
But of course, we loved it better than we loved VHS.
The basic concept was great, right? So it came out, it started the whole thing, with recording. So there was also the his and her pens from Bic.
Bic had his and her pens.
His and her pens.
And this was like in the 60s or something?
Yeah, they were especially trying to target, women with pens, and that didn't work. No.
Women are perfectly happy to use unisex pens.
They were. No frilly patterns for them. Bic for her does not succeed. There was also Nokia designed a really bad video cell phone game, and cell phone didn't work. There was
so the game worked, but the phone didn't.
Yeah. Oh, here there's a copy of a special Trump edition of Monopoly, which didn't
really.
Work. No,
it didn't work.
No, it didn't work.
Wow.
Maybe it needs to be re-released.
Maybe it should be re-released.
Change the game board.
I see.
For the entire planet, with Russia and China.
When did this game come out?
Good question.
I'd like to see this game.
Yeah.
Monopoly.
Monopoly Trump, it's called. Collector's Edition.
Oh, boy. I bet those are going fast.
Yeah. So there's a pop-up museum version. There's a pop-up version of this museum now traveling around the world. And will be in Miami in December 7th.
Okay.
Yeah. So what epic commercial failures stand out in your memory? Anything in particular?
Got me on the spot there.
Yeah. Any of you out there? Any classic?
Classic failures.
No? Okay.
Hard to say. I mean, Pet Rock comes to mind, but that was a huge
success. Yeah, right. Right. So there's, we did attend.
Oh, what about last year's Pepsi commercial? Or just recently there was a Pepsi commercial that was all about a protest march.
No. Kind of politics with Pepsi didn't work.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to name names, but boy, there were some embarrassing moments for people.
Yeah. And of course, one of the big areas under contention right now in the tech world is a whole new arena called the Internet of Things, and whether or not that's going to be a success or not.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that's basically creating all kinds of things in your house as being smarter, like your coffee maker, your refrigerator,
your vacuum.
Your vacuum, right? All these things are now talk to the internet.
Right.
The refrigerator, for example, will tell you when you're getting low on milk or eggs,
sure,
or butter,
and
such.
Your computers probably will talk to you, but they're just tired of you not listening.
They'll auto order for you.
Okay, we'll take that as yes. We assume since we're out, you must want some more.
Yeah. So there's a very interesting article this week I brought to your attention in our links page that is about the Internet of Things and whether or not this is really a good idea and how they can be hacked. That your house can start to be hacked. That there was evidence for this a few months ago when these devices were being hacked and used for what's called the DDoS attack.
Mm-hmm.
And they were being used to call up websites and hit them denial of service attacks until they failed. And you can use your coffee pot maker to be one of the computers.
There you go. A new thing to be afraid of.
All these things are becoming computers,
pot.
right? It's all computers, and so you can make computers do things. And it's a very interesting article on how to protect yourself.
Protect yourself from
your
Internet
house.
of Things, from all of your devices calling the Internet.
Yes.
You need parental controls for your coffee pot now. Okay, let's talk to our caller, Steve, who has something to say about sales tax. Hi, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
Hi.
Yeah.
You were talking about Beta versus VHS, and I was thinking Sony has been responsible, not to downgrade a wonderful company, but they've been responsible for a lot of failed technology. Did you ever hear about the L cassette?
The L cassette? No, I haven't.
Yeah,
Tell me about it.
It was an audio recording format that was supposed to be a super bigger hi-fi version of the normal cassette.
Oh, and so it would be, not high definition, I guess, but just
No, not video, audio.
Audio. Oh, okay, yes, because audio, there's a lot of hiss and
It was introduced after. It was introduced after that. But of course, Sony was also responsible for such things as high promotion of DAT tape, the memory stick.
Right, I remember that. Yeah, I've used many of those in their camcorders. Yeah.
Mini discs.
The MD recorder. The MD, remember that?
Recorders. Right. Anyway, they seem to have held on to a lot of those in their history, tried to promote certain things that failed. DAT tapes, like I said, the L cassette. There was, in fact, another thing from RCA, of all people, in the United States that was a giant version, somewhat like the L cassette, that predated the normal compact cassette in the early 60s, and that was also a rather colossal failure. It used quarter-inch tape, like reel-to-reel tape on. It looked like a much overgrown version of the normal audio cassette we're all familiar with. But
just a higher quality sound.
Actually, it was designed to. It was one of the first systems that was designed to be better than reel-to-reel tape in the late. It was introduced in the late 50s, early 60s as a easier format than reel-to-reel tape, but it didn't. No one liked it, and it had suffered from the classic. Only two labels released pre-recorded tapes on the format. Only a couple of manufacturers supported machines, and it suffered the standard which came first, software or hardware kind of death.
Yeah. Well, I guess Sony was a big enough company to do software-hardware combos and see what would happen.
Yes, they could do that. They did that even with there were pre-recorded mini discs.
Yeah. Now, where were they with the MP3 players? They kind of missed that one too, didn't they?
Sony, boy, they didn't really have an answer to the iPod. I think they had fairly early MP3 players, but they were pretty concerned about, I'm much more of the old analog guy. I could tell you about the tube technologies and the stuff from the 50s and 60s that failed, but I would say that Sony became pretty concerned with about the era of Napster and all that.
Yeah.
A lot of their stuff they were a little overly concerned with copyright management, and so they didn't really get on board. I think they were really concerned about, if memory serves, they did do MP3 players, but they were very concerned about.
Yeah, you're right. They were busy suing people who were downloading music.
Yeah, so they tried to invent a complete closed environment that you had to use their software and their catalog and their player.
Yeah, they didn't really embrace the internet.
Media.
Right, they missed the internet thing too. Yeah.
Yeah, so they weren't there with the early Napster like MP3 file sharers and all of that. They missed that.
All right. Well, thanks for the history lesson, Steve.
Yeah. What would you like to see in the Museum of Failure?
Well, that one RCA thing that was the precursor, it really does. If you're familiar with Techmoan on reviews of old, obsolete, this British guy that reviews obsolete technical products as well as current ones.
Yes.
From England.
Yeah, that would be
He
fun.
He actually did a review of that format, among others.
Oh.
And so.
I like to hear that, to see what the difference is. Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for calling. We got to go for the news, but appreciate your input. All right. So this is the Dr. Future Show, and we're taking a break for the news, and we're going to come back with guest Payson McNett, who has started the Fab Lab here at Cabrillo College, and it's setting the tone for the entire country. We think you'll find it fascinating.
All right, folks, you're going to hear Dave Michaels with some traffic and weather, a little CBS News, and then more Dr. Future Show after this break. This is KSCO Santa Cruz.
CBS News, I'm Pam Coulter. With the fate of Republican health care reform up in the air, President Trump called all GOP senators to the White House today.
We have really no choice but to solve this situation. Obamacare is a total disaster.
At least 9 Republicans said they can't support the Senate bill as written. A vote that was planned for this week is now being postponed. CBS's Bill Rakoff.
The majority leader says passing bills is hard and lawmakers need more time.
We will not be on the bill this week, but we're still working toward getting at least 50 people in a comfortable place.
But Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says the bill is rotten and will still be rotten.
No matter what tweaks they may add in the next week and a half, no matter how the bill changes around the edges, it is fundamentally flawed at the center.
Bill Rakoff, CBS News, Washington.
A global cyber attack is hitting computers around the world. CBS's Elizabeth Palmer has details.
It encrypts all the files on the infected computer, and then a notice pops up that basically says, don't waste your time trying to fix this. Send us $300 in bitcoins and we will unencrypt your files. So in effect, it's called ransomware because it asks for a ransom to return the files of the infected computer to the user.
It's not clear if it's linked to the global attack, but a Pennsylvania hospital's having its own problems. KDKA-TV's Christine Sorensen says they're taking protective measures.
The hospital's director of communications says the cyber attack is widespread and is affecting the entire health system, including satellite and community locations. The spokesperson says they've made adjustments to ensure safe patient care continues unimpeded.
The White House is warning Syria's regime it will pay a heavy price if it conducts another chemical weapons attack on civilians. UN Ambassador Nikki Haley said the warning goes beyond Damascus.
I believe that the goal is at this point not just to send Assad a message, but to send Russia and Iran a message that if this happens again, we are putting you on notice.
The White House said it had seen evidence of potential preparations for another chemical weapons attack by the Assad regime. A wrongful death suit has been filed on behalf of the 5 children of Alton Sterling, who was shot and killed during an encounter with Baton Rouge police officers last summer. L. Chris Stewart is an attorney representing the family.
This is a problem for the entire community. This lawsuit needs to stop separating people by race and realize that there's a problem for the whole community. Everybody.
Stocks lost ground on Wall Street today. The Dow was down about 99 points. NASDAQ plunged 100. You're listening to the winner of the Edward R. Murrow Award for Overall Excellence. This is CBS News.
I have failed at very few things. I'm afraid.
Marcus Lemonis.
I didn't come here to give you a rose. I came here to give you a reality check. You guys are essentially out of business right now.
The Turnaround King is back.
You're a powerful man, and that is not an easy thing to work with. I think you're going to be surprised. The risk is high, but if it works, the payoff is huge.
I want to thank y'all because my life is riding on this.
Thank you so much. Let's go to work.
The Prophet, all new tonight at 10, CNBC. Get yours.
I'm Dana Lash with NRA Carry Guard. I carry my firearm every day. I pray I'll never be forced to use it. But if I do, I know NRA Carry Guard will have my back. I can choose up to $1 million in insurance-backed protection, plus a special attorney referral network to give me the representation I need. Learn more and sign up today at nracarry.com or call 1-866-NRA-1234 to become an NRA Carry Guard member today.
Americans are feeling more bullish about the economy, CBS News business reporter Jason Brooks.
Consumer confidence got a bump in June. The Conference Board's reading of 118.9 topped expectations and was slightly stronger than the May level. It's mostly about the here and now, with the report's present situation index hitting a 16-year high, and jobs are the key, with openings at an all-time high and the unemployment rate down to its lowest level since 2001. The board's expectations index was down on anticipation that the economy won't keep growing at the current pace.
Anyone who's been to Rehoboth Beach, Delaware knows just how hard it can be to find a parking space. But still, you can't try to save them. 20-year-old Nikala Spencer tried to do that by standing in a space, blocking it when another woman tried to pull in. Police say Spencer lost her temper and hit the other woman. She was arrested and released on a $1,000 bond. Pam Coulter, CBS News.
I have failed at very few things, and I'm afraid.
Marcus Lemonis.
I didn't come here to give you a rose. I came here to give you a reality check. You guys are essentially out of business right now.
The turnaround king is back.
You're a powerful man, and that is not an easy thing to work with. I think you're going to be surprised. The risk is high, but if it works, the payoff is huge.
I want to thank y'all because my life is riding on this.
Thank you so much. Let's go to work.
The Prophet, all new tonight at 10, CNBC. Get yours.
I'm Dana Lash with NRA Carry Guard. I carry my firearm every day. I pray I'll never be forced to use it. But if I do, I know NRA Carry Guard will have my back. I can choose up to $1 million in insurance-backed protection, plus a special attorney referral network to give me the representation I need. Learn more and sign up today at nracarry.com or call 1-866-NRA-1234 to become an NRA Carry Guard member today.
Good afternoon. You're listening to AM 1080 KSCO Santa Cruz, AM 1340 KOMY LaSelva Beach, Watsonville, 104.1 FM, 107.9 and 95.7 serving Salinas and Watsonville. The time is now 3:06. It's Tuesday, June 27th, 2017. Time for traffic and weather. We start off with traffic. Highway 1 in Santa Cruz, slow moving from Santa Cruz to just about Aptos. 10-15 miles per hour will be your average speed there. Southbound 101, same thing from Coyote Valley through Morgan Hill. Southbound 101 on the south end of Gilroy. Be on the lookout for slow-moving traffic near Santa Teresa Boulevard. No reason listed for that, but it does look like it is slow-moving there. Northbound 101 near Beto Bell Road. This is where that accident took place last hour. It looks like the vehicle that rolled over is now off to the right-hand shoulder. Both lanes are open. Traffic appears to be traveling pretty close to the limit through there. 475-1080 with your traffic reports. Your weather forecast for tonight: patchy fog and drizzle, increasing clouds expected. Lows should be around 53 degrees. Tomorrow, sunny by noon, like today. Highs will be in the lower 70s. Your Monterey Bay boaters forecast for tonight includes a small craft advisory, west winds 15 to 25 knots, decreasing to 5 to 15 knots after midnight. Wind waves 3 to 4 feet, becoming 2 feet or less. And southwest swells 3 feet at 13 seconds, and patchy fog after midnight. 70 degrees outside KSCO studios. The time is now 3:07. Be sure to download the app for your smartphone. After doing that, stop by, pick up your BTT or Healthy Start packs. Hour 2 of the Dr. Future Show straight ahead.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. Ladies and gentlemen, KSCO presents the Dr. Future Show. If you would like to join in our show today, you can call us at 831-479-1080. That's 831-479-1080. And now, your host, Dr. Future.
Hey, folks, welcome back to the show. This hour, it's our distinct privilege to bring you Payson McNett, who is a Cabrillo College adjunct faculty member, I believe, and now in
Force of Nature.
And Force of Nature, and founder of the Cabrillo Fab Lab, sort of our own you might call a tech shop here in Santa Cruz, and we're here to find out more about it and how it evolved and how the public can participate in this amazing facility.
And what the heck is a Fab Lab anyway?
So welcome, Payson, and welcome to the show. And can you tell us what basically is a Fab Lab? How do we start?
Well, a Fab Lab is basically a studio environment that has digital fabrication equipment. So 3D printing, 3D scanning, laser cutters, CNC routers, CNC being computer numeric controlled routers, and vinyl cutting, so stickers and the wraps and stuff you see on automobiles. And a makerspace, often you get those two kind of mixed up. Makerspace is kind of traditional arts and making as well as digital fabrication. So what I did by putting a Fab Lab in the studio art program, in the VAPA program at Cabrillo, was essentially bring it up to speed and create a makerspace out of a studio environment by putting digital fabrication into that space.
Now, I remember there was a fab kind of place downtown, a maker space in the Cruz I/O building.
Yeah, that was the Maker Factory.
The Maker Factory, right. And then you had some alignment with them?
Yeah, well, they came to Cabrillo for a short period of time right before they kind of dissolved. They were hoping to bump up their enrollment using the Cabrillo Extensions program. And Cabrillo Extensions is what we use for all of our weekend workshops, our non-semester, non-credit, non-transferable type classes. And they donated a lot of equipment to us. Some of it was well appreciated, well used.
Well used, yeah.
And appreciated.
I remember they were using cement for making 3D stuff. Yeah.
Which was actually pretty innovative. You can convert your gypsum printer, your plaster printer, to print with cement or porcelain or all sorts of things. The problem with those printers is as soon as you take out the proprietary powder, they start failing.
Yeah.
And if you're not an expert in repairing the machine as well as running the machine, they start to lose their effectiveness.
So those early machines had a lot of finicky components to them.
Like so many pieces of technology, they just keep getting better. And that machine's still on the market, but it's pretty much only sold as a powder, porcelain, or clay printer. That you can just print an object, put it in your ceramic kiln, and fire it up. And if it's a cup, drink out of it, or if it's a vase, put some flowers in it. It's pretty amazing technology.
So how did you get Cabrillo College's interest in building a Fab Lab? How did that begin?
Well, I actually, I was a Cabrillo student, and I transferred to San Jose State, got my undergraduate degree, and then went out to Indiana University where I got my master's degree.
What time period are we talking about here?
I left Cabrillo in 2006. I was there from 2000 to 2006. I was a very non-traditional student, if you will, but
brought up here in Santa Cruz?
Brought up here in Santa Cruz. Fairly common with Cabrillo, especially in the studio arts, is to really mentor with your faculty members, spend as much time in the studio as you can. So I was here for 6 years at Cabrillo as a student. Then I graduated from San Jose State in 2009 and headed out to Indiana for my master's degree, where I focused all my research in digital fabrication in the arts.
Why Indiana?
Actually, my mother-in-law grew up out there, and my wife and I grew up here, and then she had moved. She retired and always loved the summers out there, and moved out there and was in their textiles BFA program, and we went and visited the facility, and I discovered that in the sculpture department they had gypsum 3D printers and laser cutters and
so they're pretty advanced.
Yeah, so it was pretty impressive to see that stuff in a studio environment, in an arts environment. Most of the time you see it in engineering and manufacturing. So
right there you begin to see how these could be applied to the arts.
Yeah, exactly. So I was hired on. I taught at Indiana University for 2 years after I graduated. And then my wife was recruited by an accounting firm in San Jose, so we were able to move back out.
Oh, you were happy about that?
Yeah, absolutely. That was the plan the whole time. Finally, go out to the Midwest, three years, come right back, and life
sort of like moving home to save money and then come back for the real thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm still living on my parents' property, so I'm not quite not living too free yet, but
getting there.
That's good.
So you got back
your
here.
Eye on the prize.
So you got back here, and what was the status of things when
well,
you back in Cabrillo
in 1 minute.
in 2000.
Yeah, in the condensed version. Well, things are always amazing at Cabrillo. The art department is full of such amazing faculty members. I was surprised I even got a job, but they had recent developments with being able to re-enroll in classes or repeat classes. So we're kind of trying to breathe new life into the program and kind of take it into the future. And so immediately when I got there, I started writing curriculum for digital fabrication in the arts.
Based on what you had learned in Indiana.
Exactly. And we didn't have any equipment, so I was kind of running on faith. And then that's when we were fortunate enough to get some funding from the Cabrillo Foundation, and they got us our first Ultimaker 2 3D printer.
What was your grant proposal for?
The grant proposal was for one 3D printer. I think it was about $2,500. And then our second grant proposal the following year, after I was actually teaching a full semester class, was a CNC router, a desktop shop bot. And those two pieces of equipment, I knew I could teach a course. It wouldn't be as well-rounded as I wanted, but I could deliver the curriculum.
Okay, well, after the break, let's get a little bit more into detail about what you can do with these facilities. And I think a lot of people probably like to know more about what a CNC router is in normal English.
All right, great.
Right.
So we're talking about the Fab Lab at Cabrillo College on the Dr. Future Show, and we'll be right back.
What you see, motion is sweet, nothing is real, wasting my time in the waiting.
Following is a KSCO editorial. Here is KSCO station owner Michael Zwirling.
Longtime Santa Cruz neurosurgeon James Kohut has been charged with multiple counts of felony child molestation, and if convicted, will face a prison sentence on the order of 165 years. These alleged crimes have been going on for many years, apparently without anyone speaking up to expose and put a stop to them until recently. What is as disturbing as the alleged child rape crimes themselves is the prospect that Kohut may well be released on bail as early as this week. KSCO believes this would be a grave mistake and strongly urges Judge John Salazar and or any other Santa Cruz County Superior Court judge not to set bail and not to allow Kohut to be released from jail prior to his trial. We believe if Kohut is released, there is a strong likelihood he will leave the country and never stand trial for these alleged horrendous crimes. We also believe that this man poses an obvious danger to the public and should not be given the chance to continue to hurt others. The Santa Cruz County District Attorney's Office has argued against bail for and release of Kohut, thus far without success, as Kohut is scheduled to have his bail set this Wednesday, June 28th. If you or someone you know have a story about Kohut that could convince the judge that the release of Kohut would indeed create a danger to the public, KSCO asks that such stories be emailed without delay to mz@ksco.com. That's mz@ksco.com. Time is of the essence.
It must be, it has to be, with that big sound it's gotta be KSCO.
Okay, welcome back to Dr. Future Show. We're talking with Payson McNett, who has put together the Cabrillo Fab Lab, and we're just talking about the process of how it was founded and what it can do. And we're just at the phase where you came back to Santa Cruz in the 2009 time period, 2009, 2010, something like that?
Sorry about that.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
I came back to Santa Cruz in 2015.
2015.
So 2009, I left from San Jose State to go out to Indiana. I was there for 5 years.
Okay, then you came back.
I came back in about
2015.
2014, 2015.
So this is all pretty new. What's all that's happening right now?
Yes, this is all a new development for Cabrillo.
Okay.
We've actually had a lot of CNC, which is computer numeric controlled router. So basically you draw a line on the computer program and the router, it's a robot and it just follows that line and cuts out your part. CNC and 3D printing has been at Cabrillo in the E-Tech program, which is engineering technology. as well as the engineering program itself, mechanical engineering, for quite a while.
So you found it when you came back to Korea. You could see
Yeah.
that where the high-tech gear was over the engineering
It was
department.
in the engineering
not the art department.
Not the art department.
Yeah.
And they were doing amazing things with it, mostly focused on the software end of it. And I would really, I believe in something called STEAM, which is STEM with the A for arts. So science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, as being the core components of what a well-rounded education within this field involves. So,
Gotcha. Doesn't leave much out.
Yeah, it doesn't. But that arts component is really important because our engineering folks were finding that a lot of their students didn't have that understanding of material characteristics or their understanding of design, how to, keep a sketchbook and really.
Can you give us some examples of how the Fab Lab can help artists specifically, kind of?
Well, besides, it saves a lot of time, actually. I do a lot of, I do kind of everything. I do woodworking, ceramics, jewelry, bronze casting. I recently finished a 34-foot tall bronze sculpture that's going to be installed in Mississippi. I've done one in Indiana. It was an rural electric co-op, and they wanted a sculpture of a guy climbing a telephone pole.
Yeah, I saw that on your webpage.
Yeah, so that was a big budget, and it was a really big project. And if it wasn't for the fact that I could 3D render the sculpture, 3D print a maquette, and send it to them, I probably wouldn't have gotten the job in the first place.
Because that gave them an idea of what you had visualized.
Gave it an
this,
idea. It was, a sketch is great, but if somebody can pan around an object and look at it in all the shapes, it really gives them the confidence. So not only securing the job, but then being able to effectively communicate what it was that I was going to be doing. It saves time, it saves energy, and that ends up equating to profit.
So looking at that for a moment, you were designing a large bronze sculpture, right? Now, typically, that's not very high tech, really. I mean,
yeah, so that's kind of the beauty of the program I've developed, is blending classical and contemporary, finding the opportunity that the technology can aid you in what you're already doing.
So how does the technology affect, say, the creation of a bronze statue?
So for me, this was mainly the maquette, the conceptualizing, and the design. And it also allowed me to do the mechanical engineering that I then had signed off by a legitimate mechanical engineer. Even though I'm mechanically inclined, I can't sign anything saying that a tornado is not going to knock it down. So again, I'm working with engineers and working within my core competency, which is the actual casting. So I design it, I 3D print it, and I make a miniature. And then I didn't use the 3D printers at all after that. I did all traditional sculpting out of clay, mold making, rubber mold making, wax, ceramic shell investment, and then pouring in bronze and a lot of welding.
So what's new for bronze making is the first part.
And then there's also 3D scanning. Actually,
I've heard that's used very useful in, like, I think Jay Leno was using it for doing spare parts for his cars, like Stanley Steamer components that you can't buy anymore.
And it is actually some of this, like, I have a scanner. The first scanner we got for Cabrillo Fab Lab was just one that you put on a iPad. And so if you had an iPad Air 2 or better, then you could clip this little structure sensor, is what it's called, and you can scan a person. It doesn't do great detail, but actually with the CCC Maker Space Initiative that we just wrote a grant for, we were able to, hopefully, depending on how much money we get from that grant, be able to buy a higher grade 3D scanner.
So, but right now you can actually get 3D scans from smartphones and iPads.
You can stick this sensor on your iPhone 6 and, like, walk around and scan people and things. It
low res.
low res, and, like, if it's an individual, if it's a person and not a static object, they have to sit very still. So it was not that easy to get my 5-year-old scanned in, but I did it.
So what's it called again?
It's called a structure sensor, and it goes on.
Structure sensor. It's actual hardware?
It's actual hardware. The software's really streamlined, really easy. Most all the equipment that I've picked for the Fab Lab is specifically designed for ease of use for the entry-level student, so that they don't have to spend 2 or 3 years studying all of this high-end engineering just if they want to make 1 or 2 little things. We have a lot of entrepreneurs in this town, and I wanted it to be accessible so that people didn't feel like, oh, I have to take 4 classes or 2 years of classes just to be able to use this space. That's also why we're working to create kind of a mini tech shop model with the Cabrillo extensions, which is still in the works.
Okay, so for the uninitiated, how would that work? Is it like a tech shop would be like belonging to a health club for so much a month? You have access to all this incredible gear?
Yeah, so that's kind of the idea right now. We haven't quite figured out a lot of the kinks in the workflow. Actually, most companies haven't that are doing this. Even the tech shop has workflow issues with. I think they've got in San Jose. They have 2 big lasers, and everybody wants to use the laser, and it's time consuming, and so you got to sign up, and how many people can you flow through it, and all of that. We also have an amazing space here on town on the west side called the Idea Fab Lab, and they have a membership opportunity. So we're actually talking and trying to figure out what's going to benefit both Cabrillo and the rest of the community. And one of those things may be offering an online version of our course for Idea Fab Lab members. So if they're already a member there, we could potentially offer them the training they need, and then they can get that much better use out of the equipment.
I would think that you have maybe some gear that they don't, and vice versa.
They're pretty well rounded. They have some amazing equipment. Right now, we have a pretty minimal, bare bones Fab Lab, but again, we're hoping the CCC Maker Initiative, which I mentioned earlier, is a $17 million Makerspace initiative that's coming down out of the Chancellor's office. And what it is a workforce development grant, and it's basically trying to stimulate our economy, identify job opportunities for students coming out of college with maker skills. So one of the things we're doing is helping subsidize internships with local businesses. So we've got a lot of big businesses like Plantronics or Vista Media Sports, Bell Helmets, Gyro Helmets, but we also have a lot of mom and pop businesses that are doing laser cutting, and a lot of artists and art studios that are using these types of skills.
So you have local businesses applying for, say, Cabrillo interns that have these skills, and then they're paying them, and you're helping to fund that.
Yeah, so part of the idea is that with this grant money, we'll be able to get specific equipment in order to round out our program and offer the best education we can, but then also identifying what the community needs. For example, Bell Helmets needs students to be able to 3D scan their models. They still make things with a traditional clay, and then they scan them in, and then they have a CAD model, which is computer-aided design.
And you could do something a little faster.
Yeah, so what we looked at when we applied for this grant was, first off, we had some money for seed money for planning this grant, and so we had what we called a planathon. And we invited, I went to the New Tech Meetup, and they just kind of announced that if anybody wanted to come to this, just contact us. So we had a lot of businesses. We had no idea how many businesses really could use these skills. And so they all came, actually a lot of people came, not everybody, and they really identified what it was that they could see our students coming out of college and the types of skills that they need. A lot of them identified soft skills. They call them 21st century skills, communication, collaboration, working with other people, basically being decent, good people.
Yeah, you're teaching that in the Fab Lab?
We actually are. So I think...
be a good citizen, take care of the gear, take care of each other kind of stuff.
Exactly, self-awareness. I think that's kind of already ingrained in a lot of studio programs, especially Cabrillo. It's such an amazing place, and it's been like that for decades, and so that's kind of already ingrained in there, but it's not in our curriculum. We don't test for that, right? You either have that or you don't, but that's not entirely true. We're trying to show that through specific projects and creating a makerspace mentality, those skills come with that territory.
Was it hard to get a place at Cabrillo? I mean, there's such a space shortage.
Yes, it absolutely was. And there was... it hasn't just been me. Nothing like this amazing is one person. I mean, I will take a pat on the back for pushing really hard and putting in a lot of extra time. But Dean John Gralty, the VAPA Dean, VAPA Visual Applied and Performing Arts, has been instrumental in making this happen. And he carved out, initially it was just a storage space. There was a lot of stuff stored in the back room, and we found new homes for it and built the Fab Lab.
Awesome. Can you hold on for another segment?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, we're talking to Payson McNett, and if you have any questions about the Fab Lab and how it might be useful to you and your business or interests, give us a call at 831-479-1080 after the news. This is the
Dr. Future Show.
The Santa Cruz Art of Guitar exhibit and festival begins June 2nd with events scheduled through July 15th, celebrating the unique creativity of the many world-renowned guitar makers and players who make Santa Cruz County their home. For more information on the exhibits, concerts, and open studios, go to the website santacruzluthiers.org or call Maggie at 1-800-262-8858.
If you have a home, you have problems. But in your neighborhood, you've got an ace in the hole. Hello, Charlie Friedman here with good news for all of you out there who have a garage door that needs painting, a gate that needs a hinge, or a leaking seal on the shower faucet. The good news is you can find a solution for almost every home and garden problem at your neighborhood Ace Hardware store. That's right, you don't need to go to that big box store because you can find neighborhood Ace Hardware stores in Freedom, Marina, Gilroy, Salinas, and at 2 locations in Watsonville. These Ace Hardware stores are locally owned by my friends Manuel and Carlos Rodriguez. They're almost always on hand to make certain you find the solution to your problem. So, when you have a problem, head for your neighborhood Ace Hardware store. You'll be met at the door and taken straight to the solution to your problem, and you'll be on your way soon with the solution in the bag and a smile on your face. Now at all Ace locations, pick up your Longevity Tangy Tangerine and Healthy Body Start Packs at great prices. Ace is the place, your ace in the hole.
Hi, my name is Luigi Opido, owner of Pleasure Point Computers and the new host of the Computer Man Show, a 1-hour call-in show Thursdays at 8 p.m. Viruses, slowdowns, scams, and updates. Computers can be a pain, and I'll help you through it.
Send me an email with your request. If it's hardware you want, baby, I'm the best. I'm the Computer Man.
If it has an on switch, we'll probably talk about it on the Computer Man Show Thursdays at 8 p.m. here on KSCO.
Get into a computer.
CBS News Update. His plans for a vote on an Obamacare repeal and replace bill this week scuttled. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says they're not far off.
Everybody around the table is interested in getting to yes, interested in getting an outcome, because we know the status quo is simply unacceptable, unsustainable, and no action is just not an option.
He spoke after Senate Republicans met with President Trump at the White House.
I'm Stephen Portnoy at the White House, where officials say the president remains optimistic that internal GOP differences over the repeal bill will dissipate. With the decision to scrap a vote this week, the White House says the timetable is less important than putting together a bill that can pass.
At least 9 Republican senators say they can't support the bill as is, but Democrats say no matter what tinkering is done around the edges, they can't fix a bill that is fatally flawed. CBS News Update, I'm Pam Coulter.
Hi, it's MZ with a message I've been meaning to deliver to you for years. The supplements you hear about all the time on KSCO, specifically the Healthy Start Pack and Beyond Tangy Tangerine, really do make me feel better. Really. On days when I take these supplements, my body feels better and I have more energy. When I'm sloppy or busy and don't take the supplements for a day or 2 or even more, I don't feel as good. And if I miss several days in a row, I feel progressively lousier each day I missed. It's the damnedest thing. Okay, that's my message. I encourage you to try these products and see if you get the same results I do. You may just decide to make them part of your life as well. Order Beyond Tangy Tangerine or the Healthy Start Pack online at KSCOhealth.com. That's KSCOhealth.com. Help your body and support KSCO at the same time. Go online to order at KSCOhealth.com. Get on auto ship and shipping will be free.
Trees went by, me and Del were singing Little Runaway. I was blind, yeah, running down a dream.
Yeah, what's your dream? Yeah, with the Fab Lab, you could build your own personal supersonic jet transport, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's Basin
But
McNett.
you'd have to do it during your class.
Well, not
credits.
totally.
Yes, well, we're talking about the Caprio Fab Lab and its founder, Payson McNett, who is a Caprio College adjunct faculty instructor right now.
I actually just got the full-time position, so I'm actually the first Cabrio art instructor hired full-time in the last 12 years. So I'm pretty proud of that. That's exciting news.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thanks.
That's great. Now, that's the other thing, is that a lot of artists are not very technically oriented. And while you think of like CNC routers and 3D printers and this sort of thing, 3D scanners, it seems very technical. Now, how do you teach the artists how to use this gear, or do you work with someone else in a collaborative context, or what? How does it work?
That's actually one of the most difficult things, especially with any community college class. You've got students straight out of high school and students that are retired computer engineers and have a ton of life experience. So we try to create the curriculum that is challenging enough for one and not over challenging for the other. But it is all very magical to a certain degree, and it seems complex and difficult. But I think it was Arthur C. Clarke that said, any sufficiently advanced technology is indiscernible from magic. And as soon as you dispel that magic, as soon as you learn about it, then it becomes, oh, that's not that difficult. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to do, is, one step at a time, show that 3D printing is just a computer-controlled hot glue gun. That's all it is. And you take this super simple hot glue gun, basically with the FDM printers, which is a fused deposition modeling. I won't get into that too much, but it's basically melting plastic and depositing it layer by layer. That's all it is. And so if you can use a hot glue gun, you can use a 3D printer. It's not that simple, but it is.
Yeah, but it helps you visualize what's possible with this.
Exactly.
Now, can it work with say someone's I guess hobbies too, right? Not just art per se, but hobbies, like say I'm into drones, for example.
Absolutely.
Can I build a experimental drone?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're actually looking with the Cabrio extensions is really great because we can offer all the stuff that we don't teach classes in. We don't teach a drone building class, and I've been like hunting everywhere. If there's any drone building people out there that want to possibly teach a drone building workshop at Cabrio Extensions, please contact me or Cabrio Extensions. Scott Johnson and Jill Gallo are the ones that
really. I know people that you should meet.
And so anything from small components to the entire frame of it, something to protect the propellers. People are developing things just for their own hobbies and then discovering, oh wow, there's a market for this, and then you got to get the design patented, and then you could be the next millionaire or billionaire.
Because they can build prototypes. If you have your ideas for some kind of new product,
absolutely,
you can prototype it.
And that's actually one of the biggest difficulties I have is people will show up and go, okay, I want to build this thing, and they don't even know how to turn on the 3D printer. And I'm like, okay, let's...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. The artist
two steps back.
Yeah, exactly. It is. Your eyes get bigger than your mouth. Is that the saying, right?
Right.
And so you want immediate gratification. And the 3D printers, the laser cutters, all of it, it really does satisfy that immediacy much more than most things do. And that's kind of where the maker movement's been born out of, is creating makers, people that can make and create things that wouldn't have otherwise considered themselves makers. They say, I don't know how to use a saw or a drill or whatever. And so these tools actually kind of allow people to do a lot that they couldn't otherwise.
Can you give us some examples of what's been made so far at the shop?
In the Fab Lab, well, we've actually only been teaching the course for one full year, 2 semesters. We've got a class 95A. Art 95A is the class that I created, the first in a series of 4. And that's a digital fabrication in the arts. And so I have one project where I give everybody a little DC battery pack and a DC motor, and they have to take the measurements with calipers and create something to hold the motor and hold the battery pack, and they have to drive something. It has to, whether it's a fan or a little thing that spins around in a circle, or one student attached a pen and it would kind of make these drawings. And so they're fabricating. That's kind of the final project. That's a little bit more involved.
This sounds like the kind of thing that they used to call shop in school.
Yes, actually.
The evolution of shop?
The evolution of shop, yeah. It's actually kind of the resurgence of shop, because shop classes were kind of going away. When for a while they weren't being funded, people didn't see the value in shop class, and so a lot of schools were doing away with them. They were focusing all of their energy and funding to math and English and the courses that most administrators found absolute value in, and they knew that those skills would go on and they'd go to college with those skills, but not necessarily with shop class. So we saw a period of time in this country where across the board we're losing shop classes, and now with digital fabrication you're seeing a resurgence of that, and people are getting into the material characteristics and how to use a tool and time management, all those skills that you learn in shop class that you think are just things. It's just you're just making something out of wood, but you're actually learning a lot of those 21st century skills I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, and speaking of 21st century skills, what kinds of training can this be for good jobs of the future for the kids?
Well, that's a really good question. So like our E-Tech program, it's got a lot of software, a lot of CAD, computer-aided design. So you're working in virtual reality, you're designing an object, you're taking measurements. That's anything from brackets for your car or for architecture, all sorts of stuff like that. So with a good solid CAD background, you can get a really well-paying job. But then you get into manufacturing and the mechanical engineering aspect of it. A lot of, excuse me.
There's a cough button.
Oh, cough button, yeah. A lot of employers are saying, we need people to be able to come down onto the assembly line and see a broken piece of equipment, and like how do we fix that? How do we make that better? And they don't have the hands-on skills that they need to be able to do that. They have all the theoretical skills coming out of an engineering program. So again, we're trying to blend those programs by putting a little bit of engineering into the arts and a little bit of the arts into the engineering.
And a little bit of real-world that kind of work-study connection. Absolutely.
The internship then becomes the most valuable. I mean, you get that workplace environment. Everybody knows you can study all you want, and you can get the best grades all through college, and if you get into a job and you don't actually know how to work with people or how to actually apply all of that knowledge, then you're no more useful than the next person that maybe didn't get all of that schooling but can actually apply it.
Mm-hmm.
What's been the hardest part so far in making this happen?
Hardest part? It's been easy. It's been super.
Getting the money?
It actually has been fairly easy.
Getting the space?
Yes. Getting the space, the initial startup, I think the stress of not knowing whether or not all of this time and energy is going to go somewhere, but just having the faith that it will.
Yeah, you put a lot of hours into this.
I did. I put a lot of extra hours, partly because I love Cabrillo and I grew up in this community, but also partly because I just see the value in it for everybody around me, including my children. I want to be able to create something that my kids can enjoy. I mean, they come into the Fab Lab with me, and days when I'm supposed to be babysitting, but there's a 3D printer down and they need help with it, I go in and help fix it, and my TA will play with the kids and I'll fix the printer.
I see. So you've become a sort of a jack of all trades in there, I guess. Huh?
Absolutely, jack of all trades, not just within the arts, because that's kind of a theme with my art career. Was I did ceramics, a lot of pottery. I've done bronze casting, the whole myriad of mostly three-dimensional arts. And everybody always said, just focus on one. You're spreading yourself too thin. And I was like, nah, I'm going to do it all. And that's benefited me with, when I was initially much younger, in 2000, 2001, it was mixed media hadn't really quite caught on. And mixed media caught on, and then 3D printers and digital fabrication caught on, which is also very in tune with that mixed media thinking. Is anything's possible, anything is a material, you can adapt or innovate anywhere and any time, and that's kind of that mixed media thinking.
Yeah, I'd like to have you maybe just think about an interesting project for people to visualize so that they can really understand quite viscerally when you're talking about mixed media. where do you begin? You know, do you have to sit down and become computer literate, or do you sit down with a block of wood and imagine how you're going to sculpt it, or do you sit down with a bunch of clay, or do you draw something? I mean, what is the process of the new way of making things that is different from before? And, you know, I mean, you can certainly get started, but we're going to go to a break pretty soon.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think we tie into the Art 5 is our 3D design class, and so it all starts there with getting the idea out of your head and onto paper, and then you got to bring it to fruition, right? And
Yeah, so get it on paper first, and that's just free drawing,
that's design, that's
Photoshop.
Yeah, and we've got a lot of assignments specifically designed to get students thinking about how can they get the idea out of their head.
And then once you have a drawing, you can convert it into a 3D model.
Exactly.
And then actually print out the 3D model.
Exactly. And all of my assignments are, I use the most simplistic CAD programs, the easiest, and I've got several different ways of getting to the same place. So I'll have someone that says, I can't do any computers, and I'll say, make me a drawing, and I'll scan it in, and with a regular document scanner, and next thing you know, it's cutting on the laser. And they're like, whoa, wait, what? And then I have other students that are Illustrator. They're really good with Adobe Illustrator. They've taken the digital media classes, and they can draw on the computer quicker than they can draw in their notebook. And so it's really on me to kind of find the strengths and weaknesses of each student.
Yeah. So it's very individual.
It is.
In terms of learning how to use the lab for each person. I guess it's like personal computing in that respect.
It is. It really is. And it's in that kind of stage of flux right now where it's like, I call it all the time, it's like raising a kid. There's no one answer. That's why there's no one book. There's a bazillion books because every kid's different. And, you know, students, I treat them the same way.
Cool.
Well, I got a couple questions coming in. We'll bring them up after the break.
Okay.
All right. Fab Lab at Cabrillo on the Dr. Future Show. Thanks, Payson. We'll be right back.
Hi, registered pharmacist Ben Fuchs here. I've been studying healthy bodies for 35 years, and what I've got to tell you may shock and surprise you, but if you listen up, it may change your life. So many people want to start a weightlifting program, but they're intimidated, it takes too much time. I'm here to tell you it doesn't take a lot of time if you do it correctly. The key to a good, fast, rapid workout, effective workout, is intensity and not using momentum, exploiting all the different angles in your muscle movement. As you're doing your curl, your arms are obviously changing angles. You're starting with your arm hanging down, and then you curl upwards, and it goes into a 90-degree position, and then it goes up and up and up. If you take this muscle movement, you could divide it up into 100, 1,000 different parts. If you take your muscle movement and go really, really slow, if you take 30 seconds to do a curl, you're going to find that you can't even do 1 or 2 curls. If you're one of those people out there in the gym and you're doing a 50-pound dumbbell curl, and you're doing 4, 5, or 10 reps with a 50-pound dumbbell, if you do your curls the correct way, where you maximize every single position in the curl movement, you're not even going to be able to use 5 pounds or 10 pounds. If you're doing abdominal exercises, crunches, or sit-ups, and you're doing 100 sit-ups or 50 sit-ups, guaranteed you're not doing those correctly. You should only be able to do 5 or 10 max abdominal crunchers if you're doing them correctly, and you do them correctly by exploiting every single muscle movement position. And it doesn't have to be with curls, and it doesn't have to be with abdominals. You can do it just sitting up. So the trick to an efficient workout is to spend as much time in high resistance positions as possible. Pharmacist Ben here, urging you to go to KSCOhealth.com to order Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the Healthy Start Pack, and other nutritional supplements that I personally use and recommend. You can purchase these premium quality products at wholesale prices online at KSCOhealth.com. That's KSCOhealth.com. I'm the pharmacist that believes that staying healthy and strong is not only about medicine, it's about giving your body the raw materials it needs to do its work. Go to KSCOhealth.com. Make sure you check out the cool videos too at KSCOhealth.com. That's KSCOhealth.com.
Okay, welcome back to the Dr. Future Show. Yes, we were just talking about the whole Fab Lab idea and taking it to how it's being created here at Cabrillo College, and we have a question regarding whether or not the gear can be hacked. Peyton? What do you think?
Hacked.
Yeah,
You mean
nobody
from the outside?
From the outside. Yeah, we're worried.
Yeah,
people
no,
are worried about that sort
yeah,
of thing.
that's actually
Internet of Things.
And
being
would you mind
hacked.
giving someone the password just in case?
Yeah, you can hack it with my personal password. No, yeah. So there was actually Autodesk. They create Tinkercad and AutoCAD and a whole bunch of stuff. They created a 3D printer called the Ember, and it had to have a constant connection to the internet in order to update and do all this stuff. And so people were able to hack in through that. They actually got into some pretty big universities that way, but we don't have anything connected directly. There's no benefit to that. I actually have created a lab where students are operating the equipment themselves. So they're actually learning how to do maintenance and actually operate the equipment. So the only reason to have it connected on like a Raspberry Pi or to the internet and to a server would be able to start them remotely. So if I'm at home, I live out in the woods, I could start one of these 3D printers from home. But I actually like the idea of the students having to physically be in the space and operating the equipment. So
gotcha. So it's a local thing mostly.
It is.
So, though I understand that with the 3D printers, there are online repositories of 3D printed programs that you can download for creating stuff.
Yeah, so there's like Thingiverse and there's Umagine and a few other repositories, but that's just the what's called the STL file. So just like we have a .jpg for a photo, we have a .stl, which is stereolithography.
So no big risk there.
No, it's basically just an image in with like real-time geometry.
Someone asks, what if somebody wanted to come in and print a 3D gun? Would you allow it?
Absolutely not. Well, I'm not much of a gun advocate, so that's a whole nother question of whether or not I'm on board with that as an instructor. But the college has policies on weapons.
What you can
do.
Yeah.
So just like you can't make a smoking device in the ceramics department, you also can't make a gun in the 3D print lab.
Okay. Well, I hope that answers your caller. The other thing, let's see. Oh, yes. This idea of a fab lab. Now, is the concept spreading to other colleges?
Yeah, it's actually been around for a while. A guy named Neil Gershenfeld out of the Center for Bits and Atoms at MIT kind of coined the phrase, and he created what we would call the modern day fab lab, which has those pieces of equipment I named earlier. And
this was at MIT?
MIT, and it's been around for quite a while. But again, it's all been manufacturing and engineering, and so it's kind of a new development to be in the arts. But like CNC routers have been around since the 40s. People just don't know it.
Okay, we have a caller, Mrs. Future?
Yeah, we have Wendy in Ben Lomond. I guess she'd like to say
Wendy.
something about the Fab Lab. Hi, Wendy.
Hello. Oh, this is like the wish list of toys.
Yes, it is.
Now, the 3D printing and all that is so much beyond me. Of course, as far as like the gun question, I immediately thought, well, how does the, ink cartridge problem, translate to a 3D printer? You have to have quite an ink cartridge to make a gun.
Well, okay, so there's several different types of 3D printers. There's Gypsum actually does have an ink. It uses a HP print head, and it has a binder in with that ink, and so it prints something, but it's printing with gypsum plaster, and so that wouldn't be good for that. But the printers that we have are mostly printing with plastic, and you could take that plastic and convert it to a metal or something like that. But it's actually less expensive than most of your document printers. Like the ink you get at Staples is pretty pricey, and filament for our 3D printers is maybe $50 for a spool of it, and you can make quite a bit with that.
And people maybe have to buy that through some kind of supply through the university.
If you take the course, there's a materials fee that pays for all of that. And if you are doing an extensive amount, or if you have a really big project, you can purchase your own. If you have experimental materials you want to do, you can purchase your own. Otherwise, the Cabrillo Extensions program is a completely different system. So
Now, you mentioned earlier that prosthetics for children was one idea.
Actually, that was one of the first cross-collaborative endeavors that I did when I first got everything kind of up and running. We didn't have classes even being taught. I was just developing the space, and Joanne Panzardi, who's the chair of our engineering program, approached me, and she had some freshman incoming students that were interested in creating prosthetics for children. And they didn't have a clue where to start. And because they don't actually do a lot of hands-on, no pun intended, they didn't have the means of actually creating an object. So their hearts were in the right place, but they didn't know how to.
I did see something at Maker Fair.
Yeah.
There on that topic.
Yeah, and we actually brought some of our prototypes. So one of the things these students had to do was have a working prototype to get registered with a nonprofit that would place them with a kid in need. So the nonprofit wants to make sure, you can actually do this. We don't want to get this kid's hopes up that you're going to make them a prosthetic robotic hand, and then they show up and you don't know what you're doing. So I helped them get that printed in the lab. So they just come down fairly often, and then they're still working on getting registered. But I'm also working. One of my lead technician, Dave Castro, is a veteran, and I'm actually working with him and talking with the Veterans Association about potentially training vets and teaching them how to make prosthetics for other vets. And so we're actually looking into developing that program as well.
I guess they can be really tailor-made for each individual, specifically what the issues.
And with the 3D scanning and everything else, you can get a custom fit, and you can make sure that it's mechanically designed to work for that person.
Yeah, beautiful.
That's the other thing with 3D printing is you can work through a lot of iterations of something. If it didn't quite work, you don't have to go back all the way to the drawing board. You just take one step back and you can improve your design.
Very nice. We have a caller?
Yeah, we have another caller, and I want to just say hi to Ryan in Aptos. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Ryan. You got a question for Peyton?
Yes, hi, this is Ryan from Aptos. I had a question for Payson. I'm a veteran too, and just to kind of piggyback off the last subject you guys were talking about for prosthetics for veterans who have lost limbs and everything, how would those hold up as compared to like a steel frame? Would it be as durable?
Well, that's actually a really good question. One of the things we're doing as we expand the space is we're going to be getting a CNC plasma cutter, which will be able to cut steel or copper, or aluminum. Not just for art purposes, but also for these prosthetics or engineering. We can also take molds from the plastic objects that we create, and we can cast them in any number of metals, aluminum, cast them in bronze. As you make the first prototype, you can find out that the fit and finish works well, that the mechanism works the way you expect it to, and then you can improve that by creating a better material that'll have longevity.
Longevity to it. Okay, and is it still in its infancy stage as far as the prosthetic legs or arms go?
There's actually a lot of files available online, starting points, so you wouldn't even have to go to the square one. You could get a lot of these files and adapt them to an individual. So it's really not that far out for an average person that has no knowledge of this to be able to approach a project like that.
Wow.
And make it themselves.
Yeah,
and make it themselves if they have the equipment.
They make it themselves if they have the equipment.
Yeah, so it's not the kind of project you're going to just jump into right away. It's not going to be the first project. Don't expect to come to Cabrillo and be making prosthetics this fall. But come to Cabrillo, take my Art 5 class, which is 3D design, and you can actually even concurrently take Art 5 and Art 95A. Start to learn the process, start to learn how to get the idea out of your head and onto paper, and then be able to learn to prototype. And once you're comfortable with that and confident, that's when you start to push into these more complex projects.
Thanks, Ryan.
Now, you were mentioning during the break that more and more colleges are adapting to accept such programs, and MIT had started the prototype. Where do you see this going? Where would you like to see it go?
Well, I see it. I mean, one of the reasons I push so hard is I see it coming whether we like it or not. I mean, it's going to be ingrained into everything from automotive and making spaceships to culinary. I've actually got a kit right now to convert one of my 3D printers to print with Nutella and chocolate on pastries.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's going to be a very popular
Yeah,
class.
So again, I'm trying to adapt it across the board, work cross-collaboratively with every department. There's 3D scanning applications for archaeology. There's 3D scanning and 3D printing for dentistry and engineering, dentistry, all the bridges and a lot of dentures and stuff like that. Or I think it's dentures. I don't know a lot.
So you could work with some local dentists on this?
Absolutely. I think there's actually quite a few local dentists that are already 3D printing in-house, and so they don't have to send the stuff out to a lab anymore. They can do it all in-house. It keeps the cost down, and
wow. How much do you create teams of fabricators? You know, is it all kind of personal projects, or do you find that it's got a little bit more of a like a, what do they call it, a tech shop or a meetup kind of quality?
Yeah, so I think there's individual projects, but then I also have like group projects. So like one of the group projects this last fall, or actually this spring, we took a Rube Goldberg project to Maker Fair, and everybody had to work on it. They made their individual components, and then they had to figure out how to put them all together.
Cool.
So if people want to know more, Payson, where would you send them?
You can go to Cabrillo College and just look up the Fab Lab or type in Cabrillo Fab Lab to Google. You can look at some of my work at www.paysonmcnet.com.
Payson.
Payson.
Okay.com. Okay, well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And thanks for listening, folks. I look forward to chatting with you again next week. This is the Dr. Future Show. This is Future, and I wish you a very, very happy week.
Thanks for listening, everybody, and for calling. And we'll see you next week. This is KSCO Santa Cruz.
Bye, my darling. Bye, bye.
No health care vote in the Senate as now 9 Republicans back away from the bill.
Several of them want more time.
I have so many problems with the bill.
Dealing with a global cyber attack.
It is massive. It's attacking airports, banks, power grids.
This is the CBS World News Roundup Late Edition. I'm Dave Barrett. There had been a push to get the Senate's health care replacement package voted on this week, but after meeting with GOP colleagues over lunch at the Capitol today, Majority Leader Mitch McConnell told reporters that won't happen right now.
We will not be on the bill this week.
No vote, at least till after the July 4th recess.
We're still working toward getting at least 50 people in a comfortable place.
Maine Republican Susan Collins isn't in that place, not right now.
It's difficult for me to see how any tinkering is going to satisfy my fundamental and deep concerns about the impact of the bill.
8 of her Republican colleagues also won't sign on to it. Correspondent Stephen Portnoy says all of the GOP senators were invited today to the White House.
We'll discuss health care.
Flanked on both sides by moderates who said they couldn't support the GOP bill as it's written. President Trump said agreement on a measure that can pass is very close.
This will be great if we get it done, and if we don't get it done, it's just going to be something that we're not going to like, and that's okay, and I understand that very well.
A path to a bill that can pass remains unclear. Conservatives call the draft bill Obamacare Light. Moderates say it pushes too much of the cost of health care onto states and working people. Stephen Portnoy, CBS News, the White House.
It's ransomware running wild on computer screens around the planet.
Some huge companies have been hit,
says CBS's Elizabeth Palmer in London.
The drug company Merck, based in New Jersey, the Danish shipping giant Møller-Maersk, and one of the largest oil companies in the world, the Russian company Rosneft, as well as radiation monitoring equipment for the Chernobyl nuclear disaster site.
In Kiev, Ukraine, reporter Alex Klimanov.
People have been reporting that they were not able to use some of the ATMs, or they couldn't use their cards to pay at supermarkets.
Adam Levin is chairman of Cyber Scout, a tech security firm, sizing up this cyber attack. This one seems to be even more directed at the grid and at infrastructure, and it also appears to be something that may well be more difficult to stop
and may be more dangerous in the sense that it is aimed at hard drives as opposed to just files.
What to do to protect yourself? Tech expert Larry Magid.
Number one, you make sure that your systems are completely up to date with the latest version of your operating system as well as your software. And number two, that you have a complete backup of all your data.
The Dow was now down 98, NASDAQ fell 100. Now this.
A few years ago, my wife and I went shopping for amazing quality luxury bedding we could actually afford. And what did we find? Nothing. Hi, I'm Scott Tannen. Missy and I started Boll & Branch because we want you to be able to afford the best bedding in the world. By cutting out the middlemen and only selling online at bollandbranch.com, our award-winning sheets cost less than half of designer brands and are twice the quality. Every set is crafted from 100% organic cotton. They get softer and softer over time. That's why we have thousands of 5-star reviews, and even 3 U.S. presidents have Boll & Branch sheets. There's no risk. Try them for 30 nights. If you don't love them, send them back for a full refund. Go to bollandbranch.com today for $50 off your first set of sheets, plus free shipping when you use promo code SLEEP. That's $50 off, plus free shipping right now at bollandbranch.com. Promo code SLEEP. bollandbranch.com spelled B-O-L-L and branch.com. Promo code SLEEP.
U.S. military watching a Syrian airbase warning the Assad regime not to use chemical weapons on civilians. UN Ambassador Nikki Haley.
They have seen activities that are similar to preparations of a chemical weapons attack, much like what we saw on April 4th.
After that, the U.S. fired cruise missiles at that Syrian base. Stateside, black teenager Laquan McDonald died in a confrontation with a white Chicago cop. 3 Chicago police officers indicted now for allegedly trying to cover up the shooting. Special prosecutor Patricia Brown Holmes.
The indictment speaks to the activities of the 3 individuals. It speaks to actions they took as well as actions they did not take.
Last summer, outside a Baton Rouge convenience store, African-American Alton Young shot dead by a white cop. Attorney Chris Stewart says the family's suing the city.
This isn't about should the officers go to jail. This is about resolving a case for the children that no longer have a father.
This is the CBS World News Roundup.
I have failed at very few things.
And I'm afraid.
Marcus Lemonis.
I didn't come here to give you a rose. I came here to give you a reality check. You guys are essentially out of business right now.
The Turnaround King is back.
You're a powerful man, and that is not an easy thing to work with.
I think you're going to be surprised. The risk is high, but if it works, the payoff is huge.
I want to thank y'all because my life is riding on this.
Thank you so much. Let's go to work.
The Prophet, all new tonight at 10, CNBC. Get yours.
I'm Dana Lash with NRA Carry Guard. I carry my firearm every day. I pray I'll never be forced to use it. But if I do, I know NRA Carry Guard will have my back. I can choose up to $1 million in insurance-backed protection, plus a special attorney referral network to give me the representation I need. Learn more and sign up today at nracarry.com or call 1-866-NRA-1234 to become an NRA Carry Guard member today.
Gymnasts came forward to report incidents of sexual abuse. A former federal prosecutor looked into it. Now, 70 recommendations have been made to and have been accepted by USA Gymnastics. Correspondent Peter King.
The organization says it's already changed its old participant welfare policy to a safe sport policy, which it says expands the scope of misconduct and strengthens reporting procedures.
Can't do anything about traffic around July 4th, but your getaway won't cost as much. Gas Buddy's Patrick DeHaan says this year gas is cheaper.
The average price likely to be just $2.21 a gallon. That's even lower than last year when prices averaged $2.27.
Time on the roundup, 7 minutes past the hour.
A few years ago, my wife and I went shopping for amazing quality luxury bedding we could actually afford. And what did we find? Nothing. Hi, I'm Scott Tannen. Missy and I started Boll & Branch because we want you to be able to afford the best bedding in the world. By cutting out the middlemen and only selling online at bollandbranch.com, our award-winning sheets cost less than half of designer brands and are twice the quality. Every set is crafted from 100% organic cotton. They get softer and softer over time. That's why we have thousands of 5-star reviews, and even 3 U.S. presidents have Boll & Branch sheets. There's no risk. Try them for 30 nights. If you don't love them, send them back for a full refund. Go to bollandbranch.com today for $50 off your first set of sheets, plus free shipping when you use promo code SLEEP. That's $50 off plus free shipping right now at bollandbranch.com. Promo code SLEEP. bollandbranch.com spelled B-O-L-L and branch.com. Promo code SLEEP.
Facebook with a lot more faces now.
CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced that the social network now has 2 billion monthly users, adding 80 million users over the first half of 2017.
That's business reporter Jason Brooks. Go back to 2004 when Mark Zuckerberg was on CNBC.
When we first launched, we were hoping for, maybe 400, 500 people, and now we're at 100,000 people.
And then he was on with Leslie Stahl on CBS's 60 Minutes back in 2011.
Is this what you had in mind? Did you see this far into the future, or is it way beyond what you dreamed?
We thought, someone is going to build this. Someone is going to build something that makes it so that people can stay connected with their friends and their family, but no way would we be the ones who were contributing to kind of leading the whole internet in this direction.
And Jason Brooks says when reaching this 2 billion user milestone,
Facebook has fended off a challenge from teen popular Snapchat by adopting similar tech features like augmented reality. Facebook's stock has risen 20% since the beginning of the year as it's enjoyed massive gains in advertising revenue.
Consider this, if Facebook was a country, it would be the most populated one on the planet. And that's the World News Roundup for Tuesday, June 27th, 2017. I'm Dave Barrett, CBS News.
Good afternoon, everyone. You're listening to AM 1080 KSCO Santa Cruz, AM 1340 KOMY, LaSalle Beach, Watsonville. The time is now 4:09. We've got traffic and weather for you. We start off with your weather forecast. Tonight we are expecting patchy drizzle and fog, increasing clouds as well. Lows should be around 53 degrees tomorrow, pretty much like today, sunny by late noon. Highs will be right around 70 degrees. Your Monterey Bay boaters forecast for tonight includes a small craft advisory, west winds 15 to 25 knots, decreasing to 5 to 15 knots after midnight. Wind waves 3 to 4 feet, becoming 2 feet or less, and southwest swells 3 feet at 13 seconds, along with patchy fog after midnight. Moving on to traffic. Highway 1 in Santa Cruz is slow moving, as usual for this time of day. Maybe even stop and go. From the Fish Hook down to about SoCal Avenue is where speeds will pick up. Highway 17 appears to be traveling rather nicely, both directions between Los Gatos and Santa Cruz. Again, SoCal San Jose Road is open.